6.5p Abyss, I did not do it continuous this time because I couldn't be bothered to deal with the shill and all the requirements. But here we have Evil Bobik, and he requires a lot of pyro application. You can see that bar going up, or the circle going up. And I'm using Yoimiya here because she has good, consistent pyro application throughout her entire rotation, unlike Lyney, who does it more of bursts. Anyways, you can see that when it gets to about halfway, he starts glowing red. That means his resistances have dropped a little bit and can actually deal a bit of damage in this phase. And we have the Overload team, so we have 2 other pyros, so we have a lot of pyro application. So when the circle gets full, he gets this cryo shield, and then if you take out the cryo shield with a bunch more pyro application, of course, he will fall down, he'll take a bunch of damage, and this is your DPS window. He gets a bunch of reduced resistance, and it lined up really nicely. I'm able to swap onto Yoimiya for this. Yeah, the consistent pyro application from Yoimiya is why I'm using her over Lyney. She just feels so much better to play than Lyney in this one. Lyney can feel like you're waiting a lot for your pyro application. Other than that, there's not really much to say about this boss. It's pretty straightforward. It's a very forgiving boss in terms of team building. You just need pyro to beat it. But on the other half, we're going to be building a bit of a storyline of what kind of team you want to bring for this second half. So first we start out with this hilly troll, no big deal. All it is just a reminder of how bad power creep has gotten, that we need to take down one small creature before we get to the actual boss. Now it's the Abyss Dog. I absolutely hate this boss. We front load some damage with the Mualani Bite and Burst, and I've tested it once again. I cannot clear his shield, I cannot clear his chicken. And what does his shield need, you might ask? It needs lunar reactions. Okay, so keep that in mind. We need lunar reactions for the second half. Anyways, here I'm just farming energy, and I'm starting my rotation a little bit early so that when he drops his shield phase, I can be immediately ready to go with Mualani. And I am on a bit of a timer here because I don't want him to get a second shield phase. If he gets another shield phase, I've basically lost. I don't have enough time to wait for him to go through another shield phase. So I just keep on doing my rotations. And the good thing here is that this is not the Stygian Onslaught version, which has more health. It's just the regular version, so I'm able to take it out fairly convincingly with Mualani. Once again, you might be thinking, this Abyss is fine, I can bring any sort of lunar reactions to this Abyss, right? Well, we're going to see how the story evolves in the next 2 chambers. Now in Chamber 2, I've swapped over to Lyney, and that's because Yoimiya against the Sisson Mage is terrible. She keeps on targeting the Sissons instead of the Mage itself, and then she keeps on missing. So with Lyney, we can actually just focus fire the Mage and take her out really quickly. And also, the Yoimiya team, if you remember, did not have a shield. So the Sisson Mage keeps on overloading me while I'm in the battlefield, and I go flying, and all my damage is lost. Anyways, right here, we have to take down 2 waves of 1 enemy before we get to the boss, which is, yeah, it's power creep, right? And the annoying thing here is that the primogems, which is the boss, takes like 10,000 years to wake up, and during that time he has such high resistances you can't deal any damage, so the tail end of my rotation there is completely wasted. It's super annoying, but it could be worse. It was only the tail end of my rotation, so it's not that bad, and I didn't even have Lyney burst to show for it, so it's completely fine. But anyways, the Forbidden Lanyan technique is here because this boss has that special attack where he will charge up and do the attack, and if you have a shield, and if your shield doesn't break, then it will reflect some damage back to the boss. And so it's just, in general, good to have a shield. And he's doing right here. I switched to Lanyan early to get that shield, and I think it actually did reflect some damage back because the Lanyan shield is still up. And he also is very aggressive, as you can see, so the shield allows me to be a lot more aggressive with Lyney and not have to dodge, which is always nice because I'm not the best player and I don't really do dodging well. But here we go, we have Nilou Bloom, and why do we have Nilou Bloom? It's because of this Geoshroom, which says you have to use Dendro to return it to its normal state. And believe me, if you don't return it to its normal state, he's gonna start jumping all over the place. He's gonna have like 10,000 resistance against everything. And it's just such an obnoxious thing to deal with if you don't have Dendro. Like, if you don't have Dendro, you're not beating this boss, basically, in time. Anyways, I can't really say too much about the Nilou team because this is a very face roll type team. We have Baiju, who has off-field Dendro, and we have Farina, who has off-field Hydro. So this team like requires 0 hands to play, and there's not much optimization. Like, you can't really play this team any better than I'm showing it right now. Anyways, we need Dendro for the second half. We also need lunar reactions because of the Abyss Dog. So who could that be, realistically? It's gotta be Llama Nefer, right? And you can't just even run Llama, because Llama herself does not have enough lunar damage, lunar bloom damage to deal with the Abyss Dog's shield. So you have to run Nefer. Like, bare minimum, you need Nefer. You know, you might not need Llama, you might be thinking at this point, right? And that's great. You can just get away with Nefer, so it's not too bad. New chamber, new team. Instead of Lanyan, we now have Kazuha because we need grouping for the Mandragora. And we have to think about what the first half shows. What's the storyline here? So the first boss required pyro application, the second requires shield, and the third requires the grouping. So, what does that mean? It means Durin, Nicole, Venti, and Durin and Nicole are running right now, so it makes complete sense. He goes down, and my grouping here is not good. I use one skill, and I miss 2 of them, and then I do it again, and then I still miss them. And so now I can only try and take this group out, and so I use my Lyney skill, but 4 of them still survive. And it's just a complete disaster at this point. He pops up, and I haven't killed the other remaining ones, so it's not nice. And you'll notice that I don't have a shield anymore because I don't have Lanyan, but that with Kazuha I have more damage bonus, and this Abyss in particular gives you 75% damage bonus. So you'll see here, he slams me, I nearly died to burning. The lack of a shield is real, but I don't have to hit as many shots because I have more damage. And over here, I jump up right as he goes down, and that sucks all of them in, and then the second skill cast sucks all of them back in because they got ungrouped by the Bennett thing, but 1 Lyney skill, and they all die, and then now he's got reduced resistance or something. He's almost dead, so it kind of doesn't really matter. Now, to conclude the saga of the third half, the storyline that we've been building to, what team you want to run. Well, first, we see that it starts off with a Ruin Guard, which is just there to say a big no-you to Nilou Bloom teams. In fact, the entire second half has been full of single target waves, so Nilou Bloom just feels really bad to play. Anyways, it's the Lunar Bloom Crab. We front load some damage with Mualani with a bite and the burst because he has a shield phase, and I don't have Dendro, so I can't take down his shield by making the mushrooms fly up. But you know who can? Llama hold E. And this boss is basically a Llama shield. But I guess if you have Dendro or like even Nefer would probably clear it. But the only thing I can do here is bite the mushrooms with Mualani to build up energy so that I can have all my bursts up for when his shield goes down. But here you see the evilness of this second half. It chills Llama, Nefer, Lunar Bloom teams so hard. Like, continuously, that's probably the best team in... Like, individually, the bosses are not bad. The second half is not bad, but continuously, it's terrible. Anyways, the Mualani tech here is we use the mushrooms to build up stacks, and then we bite the boss to get some guaranteed damage. And then if the boss is on top of the mushrooms, then when the missiles descend onto the mushrooms, they might hit the boss's hitbox. And we also have 75% resistance shred, thanks to Alias and Escoffier, so we really don't suffer from his increased resistance shreds from not having taken down the shield. Finally, we have the builds. There's nothing special here other than the fact that Yoimiya and Lyney might have shared the same flower. I think the better one is on Lyney right now, or actually I think it's on Yoimiya, but it doesn't really matter. The builds are all really standard.